Hello, 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 and welcome to Power Nap Live. Okay, I need you to tell me if this is something that's going on in your house or not, okay? Because if it does, then I feel seen. And if it doesn't, then maybe I feel a little personally targeted, okay? So every single time I get up from my seat, my dog, Harley Quinn, immediately takes it. Okay. Yes, her name is Harley Quinn. I'm married to a nerd. But yes, not slowly, not casually, not like she's not like, ooh, a seating opportunity. No, this is like a highly coordinated relocation event situation. Okay, sis, she could be across the room. She could be fully sleeping. She could be minding her own business, okay? But it doesn't matter. The second I stand up, boom, my seat, okay? And now here's the part that kind of bothers me, all right? So she knows I'm coming back. She knows I'm coming back, right? They know. They have to know. They see it all the time. So this is not confusion at all. It's not an accident. It's not a poor spatial awareness type situation. This is a premeditated comfort thief that we've got on our hands. And I'm going to talk about what that has to do with human behavior right after this. If you're watching this live, I already can see those comments pouring in, but do not let your comment not end up in the comment section. Just tell us hi. It makes all the difference with the algorithm, with all the different things when you just drop me a quick message in the comments so more people can see this. But also so you can be a part of our strategic rest community that's here. I see my folks. Hello, hello, hello. Thank you so much. But listen, so I naturally started to overthink this because I was like, why do you do this? Why do you do this, Harley Quinn? Okay, that's the question. Why do you do this, HQ? For folks who are just joining, I'm talking about my dog today, but not specifically about my dog, how some of these behaviors have to do with humans, right? So, she knows I'm going to ask her to move. And she's a fantastic dog, so she complies every time. She's not rebellious, and yet she's a repeat offender of sitting in my seat when I get up. So here's the thing. Let me tell you what's fascinating about this, because this is actually extremely rational behavior. Harley Quinn is not being dramatic, okay? She's not being disrespectful. She's actually responding to incentives. So let's analyze the situation together, okay? So when you stand up from a seat, what remains, right? Your warmth, okay? Some people might be a little too warm. No, but your warmth, your familiar scent, the perfect seat cushion compression, okay? Depending on the wagon you drag. Okay, let me keep this regular, right? But the perfect cushion compression, prime location. You're not going to sit in somewhere, a place that you don't like, right? But to a dog, it's not just a seat. This is a luxury memory foam emotional support cloud that you've just created. Dogs are highly drawn to both comfort and familiar scent. So your spot, the spot that you're leaving for just a second, if you're like me, it smells like safety. Your spot, it feels like warmth, and your spot is, especially to your dog, objectively superior real estate. But here's where it gets really interesting. Harley Quinn is not thinking about the future. She's not. Okay. Oftentimes, like people we know, she's not thinking about the future. She's thinking clearly. Listen, mom, may return shortly and request. She's not thinking in her mind, hey, she might come back and she may make me move, right? She's simply thinking, seat empty, sit now. The immediate reward of her being able to sit in my seat, it always wins, right? And because for her, there's no meaningful downside of what happens, the behavior repeats. So here's the part, right, that really shifts how you see behavior. And for me, when I started to think about how this fits with the concepts that I talk about each week, I said that the pattern continues. It continues not because Harley is stubborn, okay? But because the behavior that she's doing is being reinforced. And here's the part, right, that's important for us to realize, that reinforcement is actually one of the most powerful but misunderstood drivers of behavior. Reinforcement doesn't mean like gold stars and stickers and rewards. It simply means that behavior produces an outcome that the brain likes. Okay. It produces comfort. It produces relief. It could produce attention for some people, convenience for others, but it also can reduce effort, right? So in Harley Quinn's world, which we all know it's Harley Quinn's world and we are just living in it, the math for her is mathing. It's flawless math. Seat available equals sit, equals experience warmth and comfort, equals occasionally receive attention because I may pat her or whatever when I'm telling her to leave, so I'm not being mean, right? But worst case scenario, she just has to relocate peacefully. There's no penalty, there's no cost, and her brain logs that behavior as an excellent strategy. Let's repeat it. Brains do not track fairness. Isn't that wild? Our brains actually track payoff. Humans like to believe that we're driven by intention. We really like to believe that, but far more often, we're driven by reinforcement. Most repeated decisions or behaviors are not moral decisions. Something worked once, then twice, then it became authentic. So here's where the leadership lesson starts to sneak in, right? When it comes to my couch and Harley Quinn. Humans are exactly like this. They're exactly like this. How often do we interpret behavior as attitude when it's actually just an incentive response? How often do we do that when it comes to humans? That we just say this person has an attitude. They don't want to do this. They don't have the same work ethic as me. When actually what is happening is simply an incentive response. At work, this looks like people repeating annoying habits, right? Maybe people pushing boundaries, people doing things that make you think, why is this person like this? It can feel like that in our life as well. But most of the time, it's not about personality. It's simply about mechanics. Most behavior problems are actually incentive problems. They're incentive problems. What gets repeated is rarely what's intended, but it's actually what we reinforce. It's what we reinforce. If a specific behavior that you maybe don't like or whatever the case is keeps happening, the better question is not what is wrong with this person? Because it's often what we ask ourselves, what is wrong with them? Why are they doing this? As a leader, the better question to ask yourself is what makes this behavior make sense? What makes this behavior make sense? In that question, so much can be found. I coach executives all the time. I will ask them, they say, oh, my person is doing this. They're a horrible, horrible employee, blah, blah, blah. And I go, well, do you ask them why they did that? When I tell you the way these people be looking at me like I just said something, why? Did you ask them? Did you ask them why? Well, they don't bring I set a deadline for them and they don't do it. So they must not want to work here. Well, did you ask them what about me setting the deadline didn't seem like what you had to do? No. Well, how are we here? Right? Well, I'm glad we're here because, because then I get to help you move forward, right? But that's the question. The better question to be asking ourselves is what makes this behavior make sense? And even deeper than that, what's being rewarded? Right? When someone doesn't turn in something, when someone doesn't do something that you want them to do. Remember, just like with Harley Quinn, what is the negative that will happen? There's not a negative. She just has to move and she's okay with that, right? So we need to ask ourselves, what's being rewarded? What has no downside, right? What feels good in the moment is all of the things that we may need to ask ourselves about what's happening with someone else's behavior. Because Harley Quinn steals my seat because it works. They don't turn it in because it works. They don't respect you because it works. They don't call you because it works. Okay. Because it works, but not just because they're choosing to be a bad person, right? Not just because of that, but we need to ask ourselves some serious questions. Again, when Harley Quinn steals my seat, she does it because it works. She's not misbehaving because she's a well-behaved dog. We don't play that in our house. Okay? She well behaved. She listens every time we tell her to do something. But what she's doing is she's optimizing. And honestly, that's actually an incredibly human trait. So next time someone's behavior drives you insane, I want you to pause before you assume intent. Pause before you assume intent. Pause before you assume negative intent. But that's a whole nother episode. Okay. But I want you to pause before you assume intent. And I want you to ask yourself, what reinforcement loop could be in play here? What reinforcement loop could be running here? Because behavior almost always makes sense to the brain that's producing it. It always makes sense to the brain that's producing it. It may not make sense to you. I don't know why I had to say you so aggressively, but I did. It may not make sense to you, but behavior always makes sense to the brain that is producing it. So we've got to ask ourselves what reinforcement loop may be happening here, right? So in conclusion, I guess my dog is not being disrespectful, right? She's just a tiny fur economist running some kind of comfort maximization strategy. We're going to put that on her resume, okay? And here's the thing we have to remember, many human frustrations have far less to do with personality than we ever think. And it has so much more to do with reinforcement. Okay? So listen, before I go, I need to know, does your dog do that too? Does your dog steal your seat? Because if they do, then we absolutely need to start a support group. All right, folks, I cannot believe it, but it is time for us to head out. I will see you right back here next Sunday, 10 o'clock Central Standard Time. Until then, whew, make good decisions and rest like you mean it. Bye, y'all. Subscribe.
Power up.